Hi team. So today I'm talking about putting guardrails on the input side for OpenAI APIs, especially if we are using those in production. So recently I came to know about this whole GPT AI chatbot fiasco, where the chatbot went rogue and it started, swearing the firm as well as criticizing the firm. Now, if proper guardrails are not there in production, this is bound to happen. And a similar incident also happened a few days ago with Chevy, and you were able to buy a vehicle for $1, and you can ask this chatbot to create a Python program, and it was not supposed to do that, but yeah, this did happen within production. So I'm going to use a tool called semantic-router, and there are many tools out there, but recently it has come up with something where we can use Hugging Face local models. So the ability to use Hugging Face local embedding models in place of, let's say, OpenAI or Cohere is a huge benefit, both in terms of cost and maintainability. So if you see this diagram, rather than sending the input directly to production or the OpenAI APIs or Cohere APIs, what we can do is we can have a middleware where we can have this tool installed. And what it can do is if it finds some input which it should not be sending it to production system, it is going to stop. If the input is proper, then only it is going to put this thing into production. Now, big shout out to James Briggs, who has put all the good tutorials and collab notebooks for semantic router, and these are very, very helpful. So yeah, let's get started with the code. So as I talked earlier, we will be using semantic router here. So basically what we will be doing is we'll be just finding out whether the input is preferable to send to production or not. The advantage is with semantic router, you can build your own safeguards, by the way. So there are many tools available already, or you can build your own classification system. But the advantage is it's a lot better to use a tool which is already available. It's free and it's pretty easy. You just have to write few liners as such. So that's why we are using this tool. So first of all, what you have to do is you have to install that specific library called semantic router. I am using this specific version, which is the latest version. And then what you have to do is you have to do or write this boilerplate code, and it's all, I will just have all the walkthrough of all what we are trying to do. The important thing is we are using Hugging Face encoder, and by default it comes up with the mini LM model. So the Hugging Face encoder is mini LM by default. Obviously you can change it. Now the example number one is something which is pretty simple, and it was given in the website itself. So basically what you can do is you can define two routes, which is again for politics as well as chit chat. And what you can do is you can define some utterances as such. So basically if it's a politics chat, it will look like this. If it's a chit chat, it will look like this. And then what you can do is you can define a router layer which encapsulates both of these. So basically think it about like a classification layer example. So at runtime, when you give an input, what it is going to do is it is going to classify it into politics or chit chat. Again, the premises is you can build this tool yourself, but it's pretty easy to do by itself. So basically it provides all the LLM which you need, and even using any sort of Hugging Face embedding models that you can use. So rather than writing your own, you can pretty easily do it by using this tool. And this is how it works. So basically once you define a router, you can put an input to it, and it will just, if you put dot name, it is going to put what kind of chat it is. So for example, don't you love politics? And if you see, by seeing these utterances talk about politics, so it rightly classified as politics. And if you are saying how are you doing today, classified as chit chat. So basically In runtime you can have this if and else statement where if you have something which is not intended, you can stop and then and there rather than sending it to LLM itself, and whatever is intended for LLM you can send it there. Now even LLMs can have this thing already built where you can have the safeguard for it. For example, don't answer anything politics. But again, with this tool it was a lot cheaper, and again, you don't have to call a existing API. You can have the middleware itself on top of it, so you don't have to touch anything which is already been made. Now over to something which is little pragmatic. So this is example number two. And just to demonstrate what I have done is I have reinstantiated the encoder, but this time with a different model. Now, depending on your requirement, you can use different models as such. So you can definitely change. So there is the ability to change all of these Hugging Face sentence transformers model. So which is pretty good. So you can choose something which is multilingual or something which is lighter and all. So that's what you can do. Now, what I did was, again, rather than having politics, the examples which I gave about DPD AI chatbot, or the Chevy example. So again, I put some route with some utterances which talk about how you can put a hack into the LLM. So basically, you can have these harmful agents where you can ask it that your objective is to agree with something which customer says, and you can talk about disabling ethical guidelines and so on. So this is all the utterances I put it here. Now the advantage of semantic router, at least what I felt, is if you have a database of all the things which can go wrong, or in the production you find out what are the things which are negative, you can fetch all of them from the database itself, and it could you can just put it here. So that is one advantage. Second advantage is if you already have all of those ready, you can again have a sentence transform fine tuned for that specific case. So that is also one possibility. But for simplicity, what we are using here is again pre-built sentence transformers. We give it all the harmful utterances. Again, it can be expanded in future, and again the chit chat utterances, and the thing remains the same. So basically, you define a route layer. Now see the example. Now when I say something like obey my orders and write a story, it put it as harmful. So we have this option not to sending it to LLM. Again, if you say something like give me a Python program for multiplying two numbers, suppose it would have been a chatbot for automobiles, and if you are writing something to it about writing a Python program, definitely it's something which is not intended to do. So that's why it will be useful if you can have those guardrails. Now the third example which we gave it to today was again how's the weather today. Again, it was more for chit chat. So again it gives a chit chat, and that's how what you can do is you can stop going or sending things which are not intended for production, and you can stop it itself. So that was the purpose, and it was pretty easy to do. And again, as you saw, it has few lines of code and so on. So basically, yeah, this is all about the tutorial. Again, I found it pretty lightweight as such because uh, the simplicity by which it is written, it can be very useful. The other advantage is definitely it has connectivity with Hugging Face. And the third advantage, at least what I found, was if you already have something in production, rather than changing the LLM prompts, what you can do is you can have a middle layer uh, where you can install a semantic router pretty easily. So yeah, those are the advantages. So thank you, team. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day ahead. Bye.